6 months had passed since the betrayal at Nexus Prime. Commander Bo Young Lee crouched behind a damaged wall on New Sol Colony, watching enemy ships circle overhead like hungry birds. The sound of energy weapons echoed across the settlement as another supply convoy tried to break through the blockade. "Commander, we lost contact with Transport 7, reported Sergeant Woo Jin Park through her communication device. "Looks like the hegemony got them too." Bo Young closed her eyes for a moment. Transport 7 was carrying medicine for the children in Sector 4. 15 kids were sick with fever, and now the medicine they needed was floating in space as burning metal. "How many ships did we lose this week?" she asked. 12 transports, 3 escort fighters, and 1 medical vessel. Woo Jin replied. "The aliens aren't even pretending anymore. They destroy everything that moves." Through her binoculars, Bo Young watched families hurry across the colony's main street. Parents carried thin children who looked too tired to walk. The blockade was working exactly as planned. No food ships could get through. No medical supplies. No communication with other human worlds. The colony that once had 50,000 people now had less than 30,000. Some had died from sickness. Others had tried to escape in small ships and never returned. The rest stayed and grew weaker each day. On Earth, Admiral Do-hyun Park stood in the command center, staring at screens that showed the locations of alien fleets. His sister Hyojin was still prisoner somewhere on Nexus Prime. Every day he wondered if she was still alive. "Sir, we have another request from the Mars colony," said Captain Min-ho Choi. "They need food supplies urgently." "What can we send them?" Do-hyun asked. "Nothing, sir. The alien blockade around Mars has 40 ships. Our largest convoy only had 12 escorts, and we lost 8 of them last time." Do-hyun hit his fist against the table. Earth's orbital defenses were strong enough to keep alien ships away from the planet itself, but they could not protect the supply routes to human colonies. Every world was on its own now. "What about the colonies in the outer systems?" he asked. Min-ho checked his reports. "New Busan went silent 3 days ago. Daehan Colony stopped responding yesterday. We don't know if they were destroyed or if their communication systems were damaged." Dr. Sung Min Yoon worked in a secret laboratory deep underground. The lights were dimmed to save power. Alien technology was spread across dozens of tables. For months, he had been studying every piece of alien equipment humans had captured or traded for. "These energy shields are impressive," he said to his assistant, Dr. Ji-Hai Kim. "But they have a weakness. Look at this power frequency." Ji-Hai looked at the readings on her screen. "The shields drop for exactly 0.3 seconds when they recharge, but that's not enough time to get a shot through. Maybe not with normal weapons," Sungmin said. "But if we could create something faster, something they've never seen before." He had been working on an idea. The same technology that made instant communication possible could be used in other ways. Ways that might surprise the aliens who thought they knew everything about human capabilities. Captain Mi Young-han moved carefully through the abandoned buildings of Taejon Colony. Her team of 12 volunteers followed behind her, carrying supplies for families hiding in the ruins. The colony had been bombed 2 months ago, but some people refused to leave. "Over here," whispered Private Q Min-oh. I found the Kim family. In the basement of a destroyed house, an elderly man held 2 small children. His wife was sick and could barely stand. They had not eaten in 3 days. "We brought food," Mi-young said softly, "and medicine for your wife." The old man started to cry. "Thank you. We thought everyone had forgotten about us." "No one is forgotten," Mi-young promised. "We will come back." But even as she said it, she knew it was getting harder. Every week, fewer volunteers wanted to risk the dangerous trips to help trapped families. Every week, there were more places where people needed help. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. A medical transport ship called the Hope was carrying 500 civilians from Gwangju Colony to Earth. Most were children who needed special treatment that the colony could not provide. The ship was clearly marked with medical symbols and sent repeated messages saying it carried no weapons. Admiral Do-hyun watched the attack happen on his screens. Hegemony fighters surrounded the Hope and demanded it stop for inspection. The medical ship obeyed all orders and opened its cargo holds for scanning. "Sir," said Captain Min-ho Choi, "the scans show only medical equipment and civilian passengers. Nothing that could be used as weapons." "Then why aren't they letting the ship continue?" Do-hyun asked. The answer came in a burst of energy beams. The hegemony fighters opened fire without warning. The Hope had no shields and no weapons to defend itself. It broke apart in seconds. All passengers lost, Minho reported quietly. 500 people. Later that day, Chancellor Veltar appeared on galactic news broadcasts. The hegemony destroyed a human vessel that was attempting to transport weapons, he announced. Our scans detected dangerous materials that could be used to make bombs. The lie was so obvious that it made Do-hyun sick. But when reporters asked other alien governments for comment, they all supported the hegemony's story. Even the species that had seemed friendly to humans now said nothing. That night, Do-hyun called an emergency meeting with all of Earth's remaining leaders. Defense Minister Hyun-woo Jin was there, along with Dr. Sung-min Yoon and the heads of all military branches. We have been trying to solve this problem like civilized people, Do-hyun said. We send peaceful messages. We ask for negotiations. We follow their rules and hope they will be fair. And it's not working, said General Young-soo Lim. They destroy our ships, kill our people, and lie about it. The galaxy watches and does nothing. Dr. Sung-min stood up. I've been studying their technology for months. They are more advanced than us in some ways, but they think in old patterns. They expect us to fight the same wars their species have always fought. What are you suggesting? Defense Minister Jin asked. They want to see us as monsters, Dr. Sung-min said. They tell the galaxy that humans are dangerous and unpredictable. Maybe it's time we showed them what dangerous really looks like. Admiral Do-hyun looked around the room. These were good people who had spent their lives protecting Earth and its colonies. Now they were talking about becoming something darker. The Hope was carrying children, he said finally. 500 children who just wanted medical help. They murdered those kids and then lied about it on galactic television. And tomorrow they'll murder more, General Lim added. They'll keep killing until there are no humans left to kill. Do-hyun made his decision. Dr. Yoon, I want you to start working on weapons. Real weapons. Forget about being fair or civilized. Make something that will hurt them. What about the other colonies? Asked Defense Minister Jin. They're still trapped. We're going to save them, Do-hyun said. But first we need to become something the aliens will fear instead of dismiss. Outside, the stars looked the same as always. But inside the secret meeting room, humanity took its first steps toward becoming the nightmare that would haunt the galaxy's dreams. The time for mercy was over. The aliens had taught humans exactly what the universe thought of the weak. Now they would learn what the universe feared about the strong. Captain Junho Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Determination, watching the massive space station grow larger on the main screen. Nexus Prime was the biggest structure he had ever seen. It looked like a metal city floating in space, with thousands of lights blinking across its surface. Ships from dozens of different worlds moved around it like busy insects. Beautiful, isn't it? Said Dr. Haejin Park, walking up beside him. She carried a small metal case that contained humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. 3 years of hard work were locked inside that case. Junho nodded. Hard to believe we're really here. 3 years ago, we didn't even know aliens existed. Now we're about to join their council. The journey to this moment had not been easy. When humanity first met aliens, many people on Earth were scared. But the aliens seemed friendly. They helped humans build better spaceships. They shared maps of the galaxy. They even gave humans permission to start colonies on empty planets. Now Earth had 12 colonies spread across different star systems. Each one was growing and doing well. Human technology was getting better every day. The aliens seemed impressed by how fast humans learned new things. Captain, said Lieutenant Taemin Cho from his station, we're getting a message from Nexus Prime. They want us to dock at Bay 7. Take us in, Junho ordered. As the ship moved closer to the station, Heejin opened her case one more time to check its contents. Inside was a small device that looked simple but contained years of human research. It was a new way to send messages instantly across the galaxy, no matter how far apart the sender and receiver were. Think they'll like it? She asked. They'll love it, Junho said. This will let every world in the galaxy talk to each other instantly. No more waiting months for messages to travel between stars. The Determination slid into the docking bay with a soft bump. Through the windows, they could see aliens waiting for them. Some looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin. Others had fur and walked on 4 legs. A few looked like giant insects with multiple arms. Remember, Heejin said to the small group of humans who would represent Earth, we're not just here for ourselves. Every human back home is counting on us. The airlock opened with a hiss. Cool air flowed in, carrying strange smells from the alien station. Junho stepped out first, followed by Hye-jin and the rest of the human delegation. Chancellor Veltar waited for them in the docking bay. He was one of the blue-skinned aliens, over 7 feet tall with long fingers and yellow eyes. He had been kind to humans during their first meetings. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," Veltar said in perfect English. "We have been looking forward to this day." "Thank you, Chancellor," Hye-jin replied. "We're honored to be here." They walked through the station's corridors. Everything was bigger than human-sized, making the humans feel small. Aliens stopped what they were doing to stare at them. Some seemed curious. Others looked unfriendly. The main council chamber was enormous. Hundreds of aliens sat in circular rows around a central platform. Representatives from 40 different worlds were present. The air buzzed with dozens of alien languages being translated by computer systems. "Today," Veltar announced, "we welcome humanity to our council. They have proven themselves worthy through 3 years of peaceful cooperation." The humans stood on the central platform. Bright lights shone down on them from above. Hye-jin stepped forward with her case. "People of the galaxy," she began, "Earth offers this gift as a sign of friendship. This device will let all worlds communicate instantly. No more delays. No more lost messages. Complete unity across all star systems." She opened the case and held up the small device. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Some aliens leaned forward to get a better look. Prime Minister Quexnal of the Trade Federation stood up. He looked like a giant cat with silver fur and red eyes. "Impressive," he said. "But we must discuss this gift in private first." The humans were led to a waiting room. Through the windows, they could see alien ships moving around the station. Everything seemed normal. "I think it went well," said Commander Bo Younglee, one of the military officers in their group. "Too well," muttered Lieutenant Taemin Cho. "Did you see how some of them looked at us?" Junho was about to reply when the door opened. Chancellor Veltar entered with a dozen armed guards. The weapons in their hands were already charged and ready to fire. "I'm sorry," Veltar said, but his voice had changed. It was cold now. "This is not going as you expected." "What's happening?" Hye-jin demanded. "You have learned too much too fast," Veltar explained. "In 3 years you have gone from a single world to 12 colonies. Your technology grows stronger every day. You create things we have never seen before." Prime Minister Quexnal entered the room. "The Council has voted," he said. "Humanity is declared a threat to galactic stability." "That's crazy," Junho said. "We've been nothing but peaceful." "Peaceful for now," Quexnal replied. "But what happens in 10 years? 20? You advance too quickly. You ask too many questions. You change things." Veltar stepped closer. "The galaxy has been stable for 1,000 years. Every species knows their place. Trade flows smoothly. Wars are rare. We cannot allow one young race to destroy that. So what are you going to do?" Hye-jin asked. "Containment protocols," Veltar said. "Your colonies will be isolated. No ships in or out. No messages, no trade. You will remain on your worlds until you learn to accept the natural order." Lieutenant Taemin Cho slowly moved his hand toward his communication device. "You can't do this. We haven't done anything wrong. Haven't you?" Quexnal snarled. "Your gift proves our point. Instant communication across the galaxy would change everything. Old agreements would become meaningless. New alliances would form. Chaos would follow." Taemin pressed a hidden button on his device. A brief signal shot toward Earth before the guards noticed. "Stop him!" Veltar shouted. Energy beams filled the room. Taemin fell, his body smoking. The other humans raised their hands in surrender. "The message got through," Taemin whispered before going still. Veltar looked sad but determined. "Take them to the detention cells. Begin the blockade immediately." As the guards led them away, Hye-jin looked back at her case. The device that was meant to unite the galaxy sat forgotten on the floor. Instead of bringing peace, it had started something much worse. The trap was complete. Humanity's greatest moment had become their darkest hour. Across 12 star systems, human colonies would soon find themselves cut off from Earth and each other. The galaxy had decided that humanity was too dangerous to be free, but the galaxy had made one mistake. They had taught humans exactly what kind of universe they lived in, a place where strength mattered more than justice, where fear ruled over hope. The lesson would not be forgotten. 1 year after the blockade began, Chancellor Veltar stood before a gathering of alien leaders on Nexus Prime. The reports on his desk painted a picture of success. Human resistance was weakening across all colonies. The containment is working, he announced to the council. Human activity has dropped by 70%. 3 of their colonies have gone completely silent. We estimate they will surrender within 6 months. Prime Minister Quexenol nodded approvingly. Good. The other species in the galaxy are learning the lesson. Step out of line and this is what happens. But far from Nexus Prime, humanity was not surrendering. They were transforming. Deep beneath the mountains of Earth, Admiral Do-hyun Park walked through tunnels that had not existed a year ago. Thousands of workers moved around him, building weapons and ships in hidden factories. The sound of metal being cut and welded echoed through the underground chambers. How many ships are ready? He asked Director Yoon-soo Choi, the woman in charge of the secret construction project. 47 combat vessels completed, she replied. Another 60 will be finished in 2 weeks. They don't look like the old human ships, that was the point. The new ships were built for war, not exploration. They were smaller and faster than the old designs. Each one carried weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Dr. Sung Min Yoon had been working day and night on those weapons. The same technology that could send instant messages across space could also be used to destroy things instantly. His quantum cascade bombs could tear apart the bonds that held atoms together. One small bomb can destroy a ship, he explained to Admiral Park. A larger bomb can destroy a space station. The biggest bomb we've built could destroy an entire planet. Could you really do that? Park asked. Destroy a whole world? Dr. Yoon looked tired. He had not slept well in months. Yes, but I hope we never have to. In orbit around Earth, Captain Junho Kim floated in zero gravity inside what looked like a destroyed ship. The UES Determination appeared to be a wreck, but that was only on the outside. Inside, the ship had been completely rebuilt. Engineering report, he called out. Engineer Eugene Kang answered through the communication system. All systems operating at maximum efficiency. The aliens think we're dead, so they don't bother scanning us closely. For the past year, Kim and his crew had been living inside their fake wreck, pretending to be debris. They had watched alien patrol ships pass by dozens of times. None of the aliens suspected that the destroyed human ship was actually mapping all their movements. Pilot Sung-ho Nam had created detailed charts of every alien patrol route, supply convoy, and communication relay in the solar system. They follow the same patterns every week, he reported. Very predictable. That predictability was going to be their weakness. On New Sol Colony, Commander Bo-young Lee received a secret message. It looked like static on the communication screen, but hidden inside the noise was information from Earth. Pack everything, she told Sergeant Woojin Park. We're leaving in 3 days. Leaving? But sir, what about the people who can't travel? Bo-young smiled for the first time in months. They're not being abandoned. The colony isn't being abandoned either. Read the full message. Woojin decoded the hidden information and his eyes went wide. Operation Prometheus has begun? Operation Prometheus has begun, Bo-young confirmed. The secret evacuation of New Sol Colony took place over several nights. Transport ships that looked like garbage scows carried away families and equipment. The aliens saw the ships leaving but did not stop them. After all, humans running away was exactly what the blockade was supposed to accomplish. But the humans were not running to Earth. They were being moved to asteroid bases that had been built in secret throughout the solar system. Each base was hidden inside a rock that looked worthless to alien scanners. Colonel Hyan Woo-jin oversaw the training of new soldiers in these hidden bases. The men and women he trained were different from the peaceful explorers who had first met the aliens. These humans had watched their children starve. They had seen their homes destroyed. They had buried friends killed by alien weapons. Remember, he told a group of new recruits, they chose to be our enemies. We offered them friendship and gifts. They chose to respond with blockades and murder. The recruits nodded grimly. Many of them had lost family members to the blockade. Now we're going to show them what war really looks like, Colonel Jin continued. Not the polite little conflicts they're used to. Real war. Total war. Captain Mi Young-han practiced different kinds of warfare in the asteroid training facilities. Her specialty was stealth attacks. She learned to move through space in ships so small that alien sensors could not detect them. The key is surprise, she explained to her team. They expect us to fight like they do. Big fleets shooting at each other across long distances. We're going to get close instead. Very close. Her ships were designed to attach themselves to alien vessels like parasites. Once attached, human soldiers would cut their way inside and take control of the ship from within. While the aliens celebrated their success, human colonies across the galaxy were secretly being transformed into military bases. The colonies that had gone silent were actually the most active. They had stopped all outside communication and started building weapons instead. On Tybeck Colony, mining equipment that once dug for minerals now carved out underground shipyards. On Busan Colony, factories that made farming equipment now produced bombs and missiles. Every human world was becoming a hidden fortress. Dr. Ji-Hai Kim worked with teams of engineers to solve the biggest problem: how to coordinate attacks across dozens of star systems at the same time. The solution came from an unexpected source. We use their own communication network against them, she explained to Admiral Park. Every message they send passes through relay stations. If we take control of those stations, we can send our own messages instantly. The plan was brilliant and simple. Human agents would capture alien communication relays at exactly the same time across the galaxy. For a few minutes, humans would control all long-distance communication. That would be enough time to coordinate the largest military strike in galactic history. As the one-year anniversary of the blockade approached, Chancellor Veltar prepared to announce humanity's defeat to the galaxy. Intelligence reports showed that human activity had dropped to almost nothing. Most colonies appeared to be abandoned or dying. The human problem is solved, he told his advisors. In a few more months, they will formally surrender and accept containment on their home world. But in hidden bases throughout human space, Admiral Do-hyun Park was giving very different orders to his commanders. Every ship is ready, reported Director Eun-soo Choi. Every weapon is loaded. Every soldier knows their target. The colonies? Park asked. All evacuated or fortified, replied Colonel Jin. The aliens think they won, but they've actually been surrounding empty buildings for months. Captain Junho Kim's voice came through the communication system from his hidden ship. All patrol patterns mapped. All weaknesses identified. We can hit them before they know what's happening. Admiral Park looked at the star map on his wall. Red dots showed the locations of alien military bases. Blue dots showed human forces hidden but ready to strike. They wanted to contain us, he said quietly. Instead, they taught us exactly who we needed to become. The galaxy was about to learn that containing humanity had been the worst mistake in its long history. The humans were coming, and they were bringing a kind of war that no alien species had ever seen before. The age of human mercy was over. The age of human vengeance was about to begin. The attack began at exactly the same moment across 37 star systems. Captain Mi Young-han's stealth ships appeared inside Nexus Prime's shields like ghosts made of metal and fury. The alien guards had no time to sound alarms before explosions started tearing through the massive station. Security breach in sectors 12 through 18, alien voices screamed over their communication systems. Unknown vessels have penetrated our defenses. Chancellor Veltar was in an emergency council meeting when the first explosions shook Nexus Prime. The lights flickered and emergency sirens began wailing throughout the station. What is happening? He demanded. Sir, we have multiple attacks across the galaxy, reported his aide, a nervous alien with 6 arms who was typing on several computers at once. Human forces are striking at all our major bases simultaneously. That's impossible, Prime Minister Quexnall snarled. The humans are defeated. Our intelligence reports show they barely have any ships left. Another explosion rocked the station, closer this time. Through the windows, they could see small human ships moving between the alien vessels like deadly fish swimming through a net. Captain Junho Kim commanded the attack on the hegemony's main military base from the bridge of the rebuilt Determination. His ship dropped its disguise as space junk and accelerated toward the alien battleship at the center of their formation. All weapons charged, reported Engineer Yu Jin. King, quantum cascade bombs ready for deployment. Take us straight at their command ship, Kim ordered. Show them what humans learned during their blockade. The hegemony admiral commanding the defense could not believe what he was seeing. The humans have only one ship attacking us. Our fleet has 40 vessels. This is suicide. But as the Determination charged forward, it became clear that this was not the same kind of ship the aliens remembered. Energy beams that should have destroyed it simply bounced off new types of shields. Missiles that should have blown it apart were stopped by defensive systems the aliens had never seen before. Impossible, the alien admiral whispered. Their technology cannot have advanced this much. The determination crashed directly through the alien battleship's hull. But instead of exploding, human soldiers poured out of the ship and began fighting their way through the corridors room by room. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Colonel Haiyan Wu Jin's Special Forces units appeared at military bases, trade stations, and communication hubs that the aliens had thought were perfectly safe. On the trade world of Vextar, human soldiers emerged from cargo containers that had been sitting in warehouses for months. The alien guards thought the containers held food or mining equipment. Instead, they held weapons and warriors who had been waiting patiently for this moment. "Surrender and you will not be harmed," Colonel Jin announced over the station's communication system. "Resist and face the consequences." The alien defenders chose to fight. It was a mistake. The humans had learned about war from teachers who showed no mercy. Now they applied those lessons with deadly efficiency. But the most shocking demonstration of humanity's new power came when Dr. Sung-Min Yoon's quantum cascade weapons were used for the first time. 3 uninhabited star systems simply stopped existing. The bombs tore apart space itself, leaving nothing behind but empty void where planets and stars used to shine. The message was broadcast to every alien government in the galaxy. These systems were empty. The next ones might not be. Chancellor Veltar watched the destruction from his emergency bunker deep inside Nexus Prime. How did they do this? How did they build such weapons in only 1 year? His science advisor, a creature that looked like a floating brain with tentacles, provided the terrifying answer. They used the same technology they offered us as a gift, the instant communication device. They turned it into a weapon that can destroy matter at the quantum level. "The gift," Veltar whispered. "We rejected their gift, so they made it into our doom." The human attacks were coordinated with a precision that amazed and frightened the aliens. While Captain Kim fought his way toward the Hegemony Command Center, Captain Han's forces seized control of Nexus Prime's communication systems. While Colonel Jin captured trade stations, other human units took over the relay stations that carried messages between star systems. For 6 hours, humanity controlled all long-distance communication in the galaxy. During those 6 hours, they used the alien networks to send a message to every world, every government and every species in known space. Admiral Do-hyun Park's face appeared on screens across the galaxy. Behind him stood the flags of all human colonies, including the ones the aliens thought they had destroyed. "People of the galaxy," he began, "for 1 year, you have watched the blockade of human space. You have seen our children starve. You have seen our medical ships destroyed. You have seen our people die." He paused to let the words sink in. "Some of you supported these actions. Some of you stayed silent. All of you allowed it to happen. You taught us what kind of universe we live in. A universe where strength matters more than justice, where fear is more important than friendship." The message continued as human forces completed their objectives across the galaxy. Alien military bases fell one by one. Trade routes were cut. Communication relays were destroyed or captured. "We offered you our greatest discovery as a free gift," Admiral Park said. "You chose to see it as a threat, so we made it into one. The weapons that destroyed 3 star systems today were built from the same technology we tried to give you in peace." On Nexus Prime, Captain Han's soldiers reached the detention level where human prisoners were held. Dr. Hyjin Park was among them, along with dozens of other humans who had been captured over the past year. "Hyjin," Captain Han called out as she opened the cell door. "Your brother sent me to get you." Dr. Park was weak from months of poor food and no exercise, but her eyes were bright with anger. "How many of our people did they kill?" "Too many," Han replied. "But we're making them pay for everyone." The most surprising moment came when Commander Bo Young Lee's voice was broadcast from New Sol Colony. The colony that the aliens thought was dying or abandoned was actually heavily fortified and fully operational. "New Sol Colony reporting," she announced. "All defensive systems online. All citizens safe and well-fed. The colony the aliens thought they were slowly killing has been preparing for war." Across human space, similar broadcasts came from colonies that were supposed to be silent or empty. The aliens realized they had been watching shadows while the real human settlements built weapons and trained soldiers. The Galactic Council's emergency session dissolved into chaos. Representatives from 40 different species screamed at each other in dozens of languages. Some demanded immediate surrender to the humans. Others called for a fight to the death. They have made their choice clear, announced the representative from the hegemony. They want war with all of us. No, said the representative from the Peaceful Traders Alliance. They want war with all of you, the species that participated in the blockade. Those of us who stayed neutral might still have a chance. But it was too late for neutrality. Admiral Park's final message made that clear. The old galactic order is dead, he announced. You killed it when you chose to blockade peaceful human colonies. What comes next will be decided by those who survive the war you started. The broadcast ended, but the attacks continued. Alien fleets that had enforced the blockade found themselves surrounded by human ships that appeared from empty space. Trade convoys disappeared without a trace. Military bases went silent one by one. In 3 days, the 1,000-year-old galactic government collapsed. Species that had been allies for centuries turned on each other, blaming one another for the disaster. Some surrendered to human forces immediately. Others tried to fight and were crushed. The galaxy had taught humanity that mercy was weakness. Now they were learning what happened when the weak decided to become strong. Chancellor Veltar sat in his destroyed office, looking at reports of defeats across the galaxy. Half the council species had already surrendered. The others were in hiding or had simply stopped responding to messages. How could we have been so wrong? He asked his remaining advisor. We thought they were like us, the advisor replied. We thought they would accept their place and be grateful for survival. We never imagined they would choose to become something entirely different. Outside, human ships patrolled the wreckage of what used to be the galaxy's most powerful space station. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of human rule was just beginning. 3 months after the human attacks began, Admiral Do-hyun Park stood in the ruins of the Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime. The beautiful circular seats where alien representatives once debated policy were now twisted metal and broken stone. 17 different species had surrendered unconditionally. The rest were either hiding or had been completely destroyed. Chancellor Veltar knelt before him with his hands bound behind his back. The tall blue alien who had once seemed so powerful now looked small and afraid. Prime Minister Quexnel lay dead in the corner, killed while trying to escape 3 days earlier. You wanted to contain humanity, Admiral Park said quietly. Instead, you freed us from the illusion that the universe cared about justice. Other alien leaders who had survived the war waited nearby under guard. They included species that had actively supported the blockade, and others that had simply stayed silent while humans died. To the humans, both groups were equally guilty. What are you going to do with us? Veltar asked, his voice shaking. Admiral Park did not answer immediately. He walked to the large windows that looked out into space. Human ships patrolled everywhere. Their weapons pointed at the few remaining alien vessels. The galaxy's trade routes were controlled by human forces. Its communication networks carried human messages. The old order was completely gone. My sister spent almost 2 years in your prison, Park finally said. She was tortured, starved, beaten, because she offered you a gift and you decided she was a threat. Dr. Hai-Jin Park entered the chamber, walking slowly but steadily. The months of imprisonment had made her thin and left scars on her arms, but her eyes burned with determination. She carried the same metal case she had brought to Nexus Prime 2 years earlier. The device is still here, she said, opening the case. The instant communication technology we tried to give you freely. Funny how it works perfectly when we force you to use it. The new galactic communication network was indeed working, but instead of bringing species together in friendship, it served as a control system. Every message, every trade agreement, every military movement was monitored by human systems. No alien government could make a decision without humanity knowing about it instantly. Captain Junho Kim walked in with a report. His uniform was torn and he had a bandage around his left arm, but he was smiling. The last hegemony fleet has been destroyed, sir. Their homeworld is requesting permission to surrender. Granted, Admiral Park said. Standard terms. Complete disarmament, human oversight of their government, and full cooperation with war crimes investigations. These were the same terms offered to all surviving alien species. Accept human rule or face complete destruction. Most chose to accept. The few that chose to fight were quickly crushed by weapons they could not understand or defend against. Captain Mi Young-han arrived with another group of alien prisoners. These were military commanders who had directly participated in attacks on human colonies. Their fate would be decided by trials conducted according to human law. The The New Sol Colony Tribunal has finished reviewing the evidence, she reported. All charges of war crimes have been proven. The sentences range from life imprisonment to execution. Commander Bo-Young Lee, who had defended New Sol during the darkest days of the blockade, served as one of the judges in these trials. She showed no mercy to aliens who had murdered human children and then lied about it on galactic broadcasts. You killed 500 civilians on the medical ship Hope, she told one hegemony commander during his trial. Children who needed medical treatment. Then you claimed they were carrying weapons. The alien tried to defend himself. It was war. Mistakes happen in war. It was murder, Bo-Young replied, and now you will pay for it. But humanity's vengeance was not limited to trials and executions. The real punishment was the complete restructuring of galactic society. Species that had participated in the blockade found themselves in the same position humans had once occupied. Isolated, dependent, and powerless. Dr. Sung Min Yoon oversaw the dismantling of alien military technology. Weapons that had once threatened human colonies were broken down and recycled into tools for human expansion. Their ships used energy systems we can improve on, he reported to Admiral Park. Their defensive technologies have some interesting applications. We're learning from everything they built. The irony was perfect. The aliens had feared human technological advancement, so they had tried to stop it with force. Instead, they had given humans access to all their own technology through conquest. Director Yoon Soo Choi supervised the construction of new human settlements on worlds that had once belonged to alien governments. The same shipyards that had built humanity's war fleet now produced colony ships and mining equipment. We have requests from Earth for settlement rights on 47 different worlds, she told Admiral Park. All of them were evacuated by their alien populations. When our fleets arrived, some species had simply abandoned their home worlds rather than live under human rule. They fled to the edges of known space, hoping to hide among the unexplored star systems. But human ships followed them everywhere, making sure they could never threaten humanity again. The new galactic government was called the Terran Federation, but everyone knew who really controlled it. Humans held all the important positions. Aliens were allowed to participate only if they proved their loyalty through years of service. The same FTL communication technology that humans had offered as a gift was now implemented by force throughout the galaxy. Every world was connected to the network. Every message was monitored. Every government reported to human overseers. Captain Junho Kim became the administrator of the Nexus Prime sector. His first act was to tear down the statues of alien leaders and replace them with monuments to human victims of the blockade. Let them remember what happens when you mistake human kindness for human weakness, he said at the dedication ceremony. Dr. Hyjin Park established new trade agreements that favored human colonies. Species that had once looked down on humanity as primitive newcomers now begged for permission to trade with human merchants. The Peaceful Traders Alliance is requesting authorization to sell their products in human space, she reported to her brother. They're offering very favorable terms. Of course they are, Admiral Park replied. They know what happened to the species that didn't cooperate. But the most important change was not in politics or trade. It was in how the galaxy viewed humanity. The species that had once seemed harmless and naive were now feared throughout known space. Parents of alien children told stories about the terrible humans who could destroy entire star systems. Colonel Hyan Wu Jin trained the new generation of human soldiers in academies built on conquered alien worlds. These young men and women learned not just about weapons and tactics, but about the history of their species' rise to power. Remember, he told his students, we tried to join their civilization peacefully. We offered gifts and friendship. They chose to respond with blockades and murder. Never forget that lesson. The lesson was indeed remembered. Humanity had learned that in a hostile universe, strength was the only thing that mattered. They had tried to be the good people and been nearly destroyed for it. Now they were the strong people, and the galaxy trembled at their approach. Years passed. The emergency conditions of wartime became the normal conditions of peace. Human children grew up in a galaxy where their species was dominant. They learned about the old Earth where humans had been peaceful explorers. But they lived in a new reality where humans were conquerors. On Earth itself, monuments were built to remember the victims of the blockade. The names of every person killed by alien forces were carved into black stone walls. Families came to read the names and remember loved ones who had died for the crime of being human. Admiral Do-hyun Park often visited these monuments. He would stand before the wall that contained the names of the 500 people killed when the medical ship Hope was destroyed. 500 people who had died simply because they needed medical treatment. "We did it," he would whisper to the names on the wall. "We made them pay for what they did to you." The galaxy was at peace now, but it was the peace of the conquered. Trade flowed smoothly because human ships enforced the rules. Wars were rare because no species dared to fight without human permission. The stability that the old Galactic Council had claimed to protect was finally real, but it was not the stability of cooperation and friendship. It was the stability of fear and overwhelming force. Every alien government knew that humanity could destroy their entire civilization if they stepped out of line. The lesson of the quantum cascade bombs was never forgotten. Chancellor Veltar spent his remaining years in a human prison, writing memoirs that no one was allowed to read. In his cell, he often wondered what would have happened if the Galactic Council had simply accepted humanity's gift and welcomed them as equals. But it was too late for such thoughts. The galaxy had made its choice when it decided to treat peaceful humans as threats. Now it lived with the consequences of that choice. Children played in parks that had once been alien government buildings. Human families lived in cities built on worlds that alien species had abandoned. The flag of Earth flew over 1,000 different suns.